Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Jenny and this is Arnold the Praying Penguin. And we make videos about prayer, about exploring the Bible and about living out our faith. And today we want to talk about books and about reading. And you might wonder, how does reading fit into prayer, exploring the Bible and living out your faith? But actually, I think reading is part of how we live out our faith, or it can be if reading is something that you enjoy doing. Reading is a way for us to learn, it's a way for us to explore the world that God has created, explore the different people that God has created, learn more about different cultures and different countries, and enjoy the creativity that God has given these different authors. And also, particularly with Christian non-fiction and Christian fiction, this is a great way to explore faith and learn more about faith as well. So in today's video, we want to talk about some of our reading plans for 2021. Our plans, our goals, what goals we're setting for ourselves, some of the books that are priorities for 2021, some of the ones we really want to get to this year. And we also want to introduce our new TBR game, which is going to help us decide what books we're going to read each month. So let's pop you on the bookshelf. And so our plans for reading this year are firstly, just to keep reading. I've really enjoyed getting back into reading this year and I want to keep doing that and make sure it's something that I do on a consistent basis. At the moment, I'm generally reading anywhere between kind of 15 to 45 minutes each evening before I go to bed. And I want to keep doing that. I also want to keep using audiobooks, which I've started listening to a bit more this year. Whether that's when I'm out for walks, maybe I could try doing it while I'm running, if I try and get back into running. And one of my main plans for this year is to read a wide variety of books. I'm still very much kind of working out what it is that I enjoy, what do I like, what do I not like in terms of my books. So I want to keep reading a wide variety of genres. I want to read a wide variety of authors, not just stick to the ones I know. I want to read authors from a wide range of places, people from all over the world. I want to read books that are set in places all over the world. And I also want to read a good range of fiction and non-fiction books too. Another of my plans is to keep tracking my reading. So currently I use the story graph, which I talked about briefly in my 2020 favourites video. And I also use Goodreads, which the two are quite similar. I probably don't need to use both. Maybe it's a bit excessive. I don't care. I enjoy tracking them on both. They do different things. They have slightly different purpose in my mind anyway. Goodreads has a bit more of the kind of community side. I can see other people, follow other people more than I can on the story graph, but the story graph has beautiful graphs and really useful stats, and I just really enjoy that. And just to kind of completely round off the excessive tracking of my reading, I also have my own spreadsheet that I've put together that helps me to track the things that I want to know, the different countries the authors are from, the different countries the books are set, how many pages, the ratings I'm giving. All of that I keep on one big spreadsheet that also works out for me my monthly stats and my overall yearly stats. And this was a spreadsheet that I created myself, but it was kind of based off and inspired by the spreadsheet that Hardback Hoarders creates every year. I was going to use that one, but it tracked a few things that I wasn't quite so fussed about tracking, and I wanted to simplify it down, so I decided to just use that idea and create my own version. So for 2021, I also want to set myself some goals. These aren't goals that are going to stress me out, they're just things that I want to aim for, things that I want to work towards. I'm not going to beat myself up if I don't achieve them. That's absolutely fine. I've no idea what my reading year is going to look like in 2021. I don't know if I'm going to go back to working in an office at any point or whether I'm going to keep working from home. I don't know when different clubs and groups are going to start again and what difference that will make. I have no idea. But the first goal I want to set myself is to read 75 books. And this equates to roughly just under 1.5 books each week, which I think is quite possible for me. And this is partly because I read physical books, but I also read audiobooks kind of as I'm going to bed, car journeys, those kind of things. So I think this is going to be a challenge, but not something that's going to really push me beyond what I can handle. And I don't think it's going to become this big stressful problem. And if it does, I'm just going to lower my target, bring it down to 50, 40, whatever. And my next two goals come back to what I was saying about reading a wide variety of books and reading from a wide variety of authors. So I want to set myself the challenge of reading a book by an author from every single inhabitable continent. So sadly, penguins, Arnold hasn't yet written a book. So as far as I know, do correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know any books that have been written by authors that live in Antarctica. but I want to read a book by an author from every other continent. So North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia. Those are the continents. That was more challenging than it should have been. I think I'm also going to count the UK separate to Europe to make sure I do actually read authors from Europe as well as just like my own country, because I live in the UK. And the second challenge is to read a book set in every continent. So this time I am including Antarctica as a continent, because there are plenty of books that are set in the Arctic. And my fourth goal to do with my reading is to make sure I keep reading the Bible. I don't want my reading of fiction and non-fiction books and all these other things to replace reading the Bible. I want them to be as well as, to accompany each other. So what books are my priorities for 2021? I have 4 here that I particularly want to get to this year, and I'm really excited to read all of them, so I'm sure this won't be a challenge. They're just some of the ones I want to get to quite soon. So the first is Deserter, and this is a book that I got before I left home, but didn't get a chance to read before I then left home, and this one was one of the ones that happened to stay with my parents. And when I went back recently, I saw this on my shelf and brought it back to my flat with me. But it's a non-fiction book all about some of the reasons that different people deserted the front lines in the Second World War, and about the different traumas that they face and why they deserted. The next one is Long Way Gone. So I don't know much about this book, although I think it's written as a contemporary retelling of the prodigal son story in the Bible, a retelling of that parable set in modern day. I think that could be really, really interesting. The third one is The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss. So I'm not quite sure what genre this is included as. I think it's listed as fantasy, but it's a story that follows the daughters of some very famous Gothic fiction from Victorian times. So we've got Frankenstein, Jekyll and Hyde, Sherlock and Dr. Watson. Those kind of stories are all kind of linked in to this. So I think it sounds very intriguing. And then Stop Calling Me Beautiful by Felicia Masonheimer. And this book kind of reflects on the fact that women's ministry can sometimes be very shallow, just focusing on beauty and those kind of basic things, which are very good, very helpful often, but not necessarily the whole story. So this is about how we, particularly as women, can dig deeper into theology, into the Bible. So while those are some of the books I'm really excited to get to, I also wanted to do something a little bit different this year to help me pick which books I'm going to read, and make sure I'm not just picking the newest books that I've got on my shelves, making sure that I'm going back to ones that have been there for far too long and that I've been putting off for whatever reasons. I'm also very indecisive when it comes to picking books, so I think this is really going to help me and keep my reading fun. So to do that, I have created my new TBR game, which is going to be called Penguins Choose My TBR. Of course, did you expect this to not involve penguins? Basically, I've been watching far too much Booktube, and I love watching TBR games, people picking their TBRs using some kind of game. So this was kind of inspired by Becca's Bookopoly and Dart Attack on Book Browsing Blog's YouTube channel, Wheel of TBR on Cody's Book Corner, and TBR Pursuit on JD Ray Reid's channel. I love watching all of those games, watching them pick their TBR using those games, and you know, I just wanted to join in, to be honest. So I came up with my own game, all about penguins, of course. So on this board we have basically the Southern Hemisphere, not to scale, not in any way accurate. And of course we're missing like a lot of the countries that would be here because we don't need them. But what we do have is Africa, we've got Madagascar, we've got Australia and New Zealand, we've got Antarctica, and we've got South America. And we've got our little penguin counter and a dice to help us make our way around the board through all of these different little dots. And basically each different coloured dot means something different. And I've purposely kind of kept it fairly generic, fairly just colours, so that I can use this for different things and I can change up what the different colours mean depending on how this works for me. So first of all, the different green dots are each named as different types of penguins. So we have the yellow-eyed penguin in New Zealand, the blue penguin in South Australia, the Fiordland penguin in the sea off of and around New Zealand. We've got Adelaide penguins in Antarctica, We've got Gen 2 penguins on the Arctic Peninsula. We have the macaroni penguins on the Falkland Islands. We have the rockhopper penguins, which are on quite a range of different islands between South America and Australia, but I've just popped them here. We have the Humboldt penguins kind of in Peru and Chile. We have the Galapagos penguins, obviously on the Galapagos Islands. And we have the African penguins in South Africa. And each of those penguins correlate to a different genre. So if we go around, the yellow-eyed penguin is non-fiction. The blue penguin is children's or middle grade books. Fiordland penguin is fantasy. Adelaide penguin is romance. Gen 2 penguin is Christian, either fiction or non-fiction. The macaroni penguin is a wild card, so whatever genre I want. The rockhopper penguin is a mystery. The Humboldt penguin is a contemporary book. Galapagos penguins are historical fiction. African penguins are thrillers. And that's all of those penguins. So next are the blue dots. So we only have 4 of these, so these are the slightly special ones. So these are the kind of fictional penguin characters. So we have Monty the penguin, who is the penguin from the M&S advert a little while ago, who I loved, who is adorable. So when we land on Monty the penguin, we have to choose a book with a food theme, because M&S. And then if we keep going, we come to Pingu. Of course, we love Pingu. And if we land on Pingu, we have to pick a book from a series. Then we keep going and we come to Mumble the penguin from Happy Feet. And if we land on Mumble, we have to choose a book with a music theme of some kind. And then the last special penguins are the Madagascar penguins over here in Madagascar. And if we land on them, we have to pick some kind of adaptation. This could be a book that has been adapted into a movie. It could be that a film has been adapted into a book. It could be a book that's been adapted into a musical even, or vice versa, or anything like that. And then for the other colours, we have yellow, red and orange. And for all of those, we have this guy, our penguin Carol. Take his head off. And in here we have yellow, orange and red pieces of paper to pick from. So if we land on red, we pull out a red piece of paper, and on these red pieces of paper are names of books that I own, that I want to read, that I haven't read yet, basically my physical TBR shelf. If we land on an orange, we pull out an orange piece of paper, and these are all different kind of community prompts, community challenges. So we have things like the story graph lowest pages, so I'd go onto the story graph TBR and find the book with the lowest number of pages. But there are other things like phone a friend and Instagram poll and those kind of things. Things where other people are going to pick my book, or the story graph or Goodreads are going to pick my book. And then finally, if we land on yellow, we pull out a yellow piece of paper. And on here, we have all of the different challenges in Arnold's 21 in 2021 reading challenge, which I will talk about in just one sec. So that brings me nicely onto my final plan for my reading for 2021. Which is that Arnold has put together a very special 21 in 2021 reading challenge. So we have 21 different prompts to help us read just a variety of different books. These are all quite basic prompts, from a new to you author to an award-winning book to a genre that's outside of your comfort zone, a book over 500 pages, a book under 200 pages, prompts like that hopefully will help us to read a big variety of different things. If you'd like to join us for this reading challenge, you can join us on the story graph. I'll include a link in the description below for you to come and join in, or alternatively, in the description I'll also leave a link to a graphic that you can find and download from our website, where you can tick off each challenge as you complete it. So that's what's on all of the yellow pieces of paper, each of those different challenges. But that's our TBR game for 2021. We think it's going to be really fun to just do something a bit different for picking our books, giving us a list of books that we're going to read each month. And to show you how this actually works in practice, here's a video of how I picked my January TBR. So for our first roll, we're going to start on Arnold's belly and roll the dice. Oh, that was at number 3. So 1, 2, 3. So we landed on a yellow-eyed penguin, and that is a non-fiction book. So for our first roll, we landed on Yellow-Eyed Penguin in New Zealand, and that means we have to pick a non-fiction book. So I have quite a few to choose from because I have many that I haven't read. Okay, so I think the one I'm going to choose is God on Mute by Pete Gregg. So this is all about prayer, all about unanswered prayer specifically. You can see I did start it once and didn't get very far, so I'm going to start again from the beginning. So for our second roll, only one space. So orange. We bring out our big penguin pot. I'm going to pick an orange piece of paper. That's red. Red again. Orange. The story graph random number. Okay, so next we landed on an orange dot, and they are our community prompts. So this one was the story graph random number generator. So I have sorted my TBR on the story graph and set it to just the ones that I physically own. And then we're going to go on a random number generator on Google. I have 21 books apparently. So put in 1 to 21, generate a random number. Book 20. Okay, back to the story graph. 19, 20. Cool. Stop Calling Me Beautiful by Felicia Masonheimer. And we have another Christian non-fiction book. This is all about kind of digging deeper into theology and studying the Bible, particularly as women. Okay, roll number 3. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Mr. Penguin is back. Hey, don't run away. And we're going to pick out a red piece of paper this time. Seven Deadly Sins of Women in Leadership. Interesting. Okay, for roll 3 we landed on a red dot, and that means we pull out a book that's already on our TBR shelf. We pulled out The 7 Deadly Sins of Women in Leadership by Kate Coleman. I picked this up a while ago at a conference I went to where Kate was speaking, and it's all about women in leadership and basically what not to do. Okay, roll number 4. Can we get a fiction book this month? 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Orange. So we have another community pick from our penguin. Mix it up. We get an orange one. There's an orange one. The story graph highest pages. Ooh. So for round number 4 we landed on orange again, and this time we got the story graph highest numbers. So let's go back. So let's go back onto the story graph, and this time we're going to filter it by page number. So pages high to low. Sorting. Unbroken. Okay. So apparently we're sticking very closely to non-fiction this month, but this one is the true story of a man called Louis Zamperini, who is an athlete in the Berlin Olympics, and then he also fights in the Second World War. His bomber plane crashes into the Pacific Ocean, and then he spends time in some of Japan's prisoner of war camps. So again, I'm really excited to read this, and it isn't actually that long, it's only about 473 pages, so it's not a massive one, it's just the longest one on my TBR at the moment. Okay, so our final roll of January. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another orange. Okay, here's an orange. Phone a friend. And so for our last roll we got another orange, and this time it was phone a friend. So I sent my friend a picture of these 2 books, and she chose The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Gross, which I'm so excited about because I just got this for Christmas and I really want to read it as soon as possible. And now I can read it in January. So this is basically a story following the daughters of lots of different Victorian Gothic stories. So the daughters of Frankenstein, the daughters of Jekyll and Hyde, and some others. So they team up with Sherlock and Dr. Watson and go on an adventure finding out about this society that their fathers were part of. So here is my stack of January reads. It doesn't look too bad actually. So those are the books that we're going to be reading in January. If you've enjoyed this video and seeing us play this game, make sure you give this video a really big thumbs up and comment down in the description. And if this is something that you've enjoyed and you want to see more of, we can definitely do videos each month showing you how we pick our TBR for the next month. And you can see what the penguins are picking for us to read. If you want to see how I get on with these books, I usually put a review up of particularly my favourite books on my Instagram page, so make sure you're following us over there. We hope you've enjoyed this video and finding out a bit more about our reading plans for 2021. If you have, please do give this video a thumbs up and comment down below and let us know what books you want to read in 2021. Or if you've read any of the books that I mentioned in this video, let me know whether you think we'll enjoy them. I hope you're having a great month so far, and we will see you again very soon for a new video. Bye!